Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, my fellow people in the room. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the star of this podcast, the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds podcast. We're going to be talking about All In, AEW's 2024 Wembley-based pay-per-view event. But first, we need to talk about who's cool.
Who is cool?
That's going to be a guy from Ohio, Rob, Passion Killer 711, Trucey KTL, On the Tip of Your Tongue, DG, and Harmony.
Nice.
I forgot to pull up the document, so I had to recite it from memory again. Soft background, if you caught the last pay-per-view podcast, you already know this. I don't like AEW right now. I like it the most out of all of the wrestling on offer to me, so I am still watching it. Also, the people in my house watch it, and I like to do activities with them. We're friends. So I wasn't looking forward to this. I wasn't dreading it, despite many of my performative jokes to the contrary, which you would have caught if you were in our Discord, where we discuss wrestling more than anything else. Yeah, this wasn't my show. This is going to be a The Boy Talks a Lot show.
Hello. I hope you're happy to hear more of this voice for a long time.
It's now The Boy and not 10 years ago The Boy. When this podcast began, I'm sure they're fine with that.
Comparatively, it's smooth as butter, ladies and gentlemen. Comparatively only. So, by contrast to my friend White Raven, I was actually very excited for this show. Too middlingly excited. There were only like 2 matches on the card I didn't give a shit about. I was at least reasonably excited to see most of this card, and very excited for a couple matches. If we're going to do the spoiler-free review, I'll do White Ravens. It's just, if you want to go type into YouTube on a separate tab, keep this running, Jay Sherman, It Stinks, and then just play that 4 or 5 times. There's White Raven's spoiler-free review. I'll handle that for him, for his convenience.
The less I talk on my own podcast, the better, I guess. I thought it was, as predicted, good action that I wasn't invested in. Even then, the action wasn't as explosive as some AEW pay-per-views have been, featuring many of these same wrestlers. I believe the joke I said is that this was a pretty good Fastlane when it's supposed to be their WrestleMania.
I just fully don't agree. Lots of these matches were quite good.
They were good, they just weren't, like, mind-blowing. And maybe that's because I see Will Ospreay do his thing every week. You see a man invert himself into a human tornado so many times, and after a while it stops being quite as exciting.
I guess, yeah, if you're listening to Mozart concerts every week, it's just sort of...
You're going to get tired of Mozart.
Yeah.
You are.
You're going to want some Nickelback.
You are.
Yeah.
You will crave the throaty croon of Chad Kroeger. Kroeger?
I think it's Kroger because the YouTuber I watch used to call him Kroger the Ogre. And
that's mean.
Well, yeah, he does music reviews and he's mean. That's his whole bit.
Who would do that? Be mean on the internet?
I don't know. Hey, what did you think about this show, friend?
I thought it was mid. That's not mean, that's just accurate.
Oh. I thought the show was really good. There were some decisions I disagree with, and there were at least a couple matches which weren't amazing. But I think the wrestling was at least very good on almost all the matches. And I was very invested in most of these storylines, and a lot of the matches here were built on top of very well-built feuds and storylines over the course of a long period of time. All Out's in 2 weeks. I don't know what they're going to do. You gotta rearrange this, guys. You gotta fix this. 2 weeks is 6 months is too much time to build a pay-per-view. 2 weeks isn't enough. Maybe we could split the difference. Maybe we could find a way around it. Huh, Tony? But anyway, any other thoughts? Generally spoiler free.
No.
Okay. Shall we move into the matches?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Let's start with the kick to my dick.
Yes, let's start with
the show opens now. Okay, this is in London. We're in Eastern time, in the Americas. So we had other plans.
Yeah, on Sunday afternoons, we do different stuff than watch wrestling. Normally, that's not a problem because wrestling pay-per-views come on at night. But they're in London. So we watched all of this after the fact.
Yes, and we didn't bother with the pre-show. I got some highlights after the fact. Did you watch any of it at all?
I did not watch one frame of the pre-show.
I will go ahead. We'll run down that briefly. Give me an excuse to talk about something. A big team of people won against some other big teams of people in a 16-man tag team match that only took less than 12 minutes. Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii beat Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway.
Big Stoke was robbed. I've not seen
what was a very funny match. Stoke did a great job. It was class. Honestly, if you watch anything from the pre-show, it's that and the return of Jamie Hayter, who seems to be going into a program against Saraya.
Oh, that's good. Give Saraya something to do.
That isn't title-based. I think she is not Paige. She is a different person. She has changed, as we all have, in the last however many years.
I'm certainly not as spry as I was 10 fucking years ago.
And my face looks completely different. We have things in common with Saraya.
Yeah.
But I think she's on the verge of some really good content. They just haven't had the room to pull the trigger. Jamie Hayter returning and having Saraya to feud with is a great excuse to get the fun stuff she's doing with Harley Cameron on the show.
Because it is fun, and Saraya's good. She's not Paige, but like very few people are Paige. So that's okay. It's okay to be Saraya. That's fine.
And then finally, the Von Erich, Sammy Guevara, Katsuyori Shibata, and Dustin Rhodes beat the Undisputed Kingdom and Cage of Agony because Cage of Agony is not allowed to win anything ever. They're better Bear Country.
Better in that they're cooler looking. Not in. I think Bear Country might have a better win record.
It might. I honestly forget what Bear Country's new name is. The Iron Bears.
I don't care.
Yeah, whatever.
Iron Savages. I think you activated my neurons.
You're welcome.
But I love the Cage of Agony. I love that whole trio. Brian Cage especially, and it's. Please do something with them. Please give them like a trios title run. Please let them win matches. Guys, alright, actually this is a great segue into the opener for the actual pay-per-view. One of the people in our Discord called this, called a later match that shows up here on the show, a rematch from a previous year with an extra team thrown in for spice. And he's right. AEW has 1 million people on its fucking roster. I love so much AEW talent that I've seen so much from, but there's so much AEW talent that I see very little of. Please cycle them around. Give some people some more TV time. You're never going to make new stars if you don't do that. Anyway. Pac and, well, what clearly was intended originally to be Death Triangle, except for how Penta really likes money more than working for a better wrestling company. So he's going to go hang out with Logan Paul now.
That's a very vicious way to put it. Meaner than my own feelings. This is the thing I'm most depressed about. One by one, every wrestler I like in this company has become injured or left. And the final last bastion over the last few months has been Penta. And also, I guess, his brother Ray. I do like Ray. He's just not... He doesn't have the... What is it the young people say?
Aura.
He doesn't have aura. Great Lady Gaga song. But, like, they started going, hey, Penta's contract's up for negotiation. He hasn't re-signed yet. But it's probably fine, because they usually do this. And I felt in the deepest pit of my soul that it wasn't fine. And I was right.
You were very right.
And he was my favorite. He was my favorite new wrestler. There are better ones, Slaps Hood of Car, but I like this. And now he's gone, and I get why. They're winding down their career, and they want to do so with the most exposure and the most money to go out on. Of course, go to WWE. I have nothing ethically wrong with that, but I'm not going to watch you.
Nothing gold can stay. Time comes for us all. You need money to retire on. This is a perfectly valid business decision.
Yeah.
I am gonna zazz it because one, Penta El Zero Romero is never listening to this show, so I don't have to try and be nice in case he hears it. A lot of the times I'm nicer than I would otherwise be because I don't want someone to hear me really shitting on their performance and feel bad. That's never gonna happen here, so I will make fun of him for it because he made my friend really sad.
Penta, te amo.
So he can't be on the show because they're leaving now. Ray mostly because he wants to hang out with his brother, and honestly, I respect that more. But so they had to put Pac with some people, and I honestly think the Blackpool Combat Club is a very natural fit for Pac. I think that's a really good place to put him in terms of hanging out with them. He was teaming up with Claudio and Wheeler, and they were fighting the Patriarchy and the Bullet Club Gold. Still not saying the other thing. And House of Black in a big 4-way ladder match for the Trios title. Because the Trios title is the coolest title that is booked terribly in AEW. There are other titles that are booked terribly, but this one's the coolest.
This build, I hated so much. It was a series of unforced errors. It was like, there's an old metaphor about this, where like somebody actively takes a shit in front of you and then smiles at you afterward like they accomplished something.
Yeah.
And you are baffled, going, you just pooped? All you did was poop? Why are you so proud?
And then they look and they go, I did something here. No, you didn't. Didn't I? And then like Leonard Nimoy, they disappear.
Yeah. And that's how I felt about every turn of this. I'm not going to go into the graphic details. I just need it to be known that this was stupid after stupid after stupid after stupid with an okay button.
I actually fully agree. This is not... The Trios title has been booked terribly this whole pay-per-view cycle. Taking it off Bullet Club Gold for no reason, just to then put it up in a match where Bullet Club Gold was under contendership for it, and then have them lose, so you could have just had them lose, is the most frustrating shit imaginable. Don't do that. Don't do that. It devalues your title and makes you look like a dumbass.
I think the ladder match was a good choice to protect House of Black not winning, though.
Yeah, House of Black, and they also got a cool moment where when Pac gets his Wembley moment and wins the Trios title with the Blackpool Combat Club, House of Black raises his hand about it, which I think was very cool.
Yes.
And again, House of Black, you should... They're the coolest fucking thing on your roster. Please book them better. It's not hard. Anyway. But the match itself was actually very good. It was very fun. There was a lot of fun spots. There was a lot of like ladder match car crash stuff. There was a great big ladder and a wee little bit of ladder.
There were fewer rooting around for the right ladder spots than I've seen in the last few ladder matches, or garbage matches, or what is the thing that one of our Discord members keeps saying? Purloin matches? Plunder matches.
Plunder matches, yeah, because you are plundering from under the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite a good time. I think they picked the right winner. I would always kind of prefer the titles be on House of Black, but other people do have to win the title occasionally for it to be real. I would obviously have preferred it to be Death Triangle, because then my friend wouldn't be sad. But in the universe where it can't be Death Triangle, I'm glad it's Pac.
Yes, he deserved this, especially after the hard time he had last year. I have no real argument with it. Other than I just want to see good things for teams I like. I wish I believed in House of Black still, but they have been booked so crap overall that they don't feel dominant. They feel like jobbers in cool face paint. I
hate that. I can't dispute it, but I do hate it. I really liked the Patriarchy's role in this as the incoming Trios champions, with Christian Cage being desperate to keep his title and all that. I'm saying this for no particular reason. In general, I really like the Patriarchy, the wrestling stable, and I think they do good work as bad guys.
I don't like them.
It might become apparent later why I'm complimenting them now. Anyway, on to the second match.
Sure.
Second match was Toni Storm, Timeless Toni Storm, one of my favorite gimmicks of the past 10 years of any wrestler, against her now recently treacherous understudy Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship. I've loved this whole storyline. I love Timeless Toni Storm. I loved the turn from Mariah May. I love the promos and vignettes and video packages that have resulted. Toni Storm's a fucking genius, and I'm excited to see where she goes next, because, spoiler, she fucking loses.
I remember saying at the end of the last pay-per-view, I'm not sure what I want to see more here. Maybe it wasn't the pay-per-view. Maybe it was the Owen, whenever that happened. I don't know if either of them are good calls, because I feel like it's a point in Toni Storm's career where she needs to pivot slightly, keep the same gimmick, but we need to pivot, you know. And I don't think the title would have helped with that. Also, if this wasn't Mariah May's time for the title, it's not going to be one.
If Mariah May didn't win the championship here, she was never gonna.
At the time, also, I did not want to see Mariah May as champion. Now, the building they've done since then, I think, has done a really good job of upping the intensity for this match. There was a lot of heat going into it, and making Mariah May more of a unique character separate from Toni Storm, being able to step out of her shadow. That said, I also did not understand half of what was going on still.
It's a lot of actual references to really old shit.
So because I'm not the How to Drink guy, I don't get it?
It's literally what I was going to suggest. Like, Greg from How to Drink, if he liked wrestling, would have loved this. It was actually a lot of references to really old shit.
Old Hollywood shit in particular. If you've never seen the show, he really likes the what is it era?
I forget.
The old-timey black and white. Some of those movies are fine.
Code.
Code, you're right.
Pre-Hays Code movies. But shout out Greg. I actually really like your show. But
Greg Sayama. That was horribly conjugated. I'm sorry.
You've upset Penta now.
I did. He's turned the podcast off.
But the match itself was perfectly well wrestled. I don't think it was anything amazing, but it was still really good.
I didn't like the amount of breaks.
It was a slower match.
And I think I need to specify, because yes, that is a way to describe it. They would do a spot, and then they would not do anything for a minute.
It was a slow match in the way WWE matches.
Precisely. Absolutely correct.
Not in the Japanese way many AEW matches are slow, where they're just always doing not much.
And that's a build, though. That's
why you do those, because then you build to the end of the match where there's explosions and fire.
And it's a necessary reset, which I will mention in a moment. But please, finish your thoughts on this match. I
basically got him out. What were you going to say?
Well, there's a match in between that and then, so.
Okay, fair enough. I'm very excited to see what Toni Storm does next. She's a genius. I'm fully bought in. I love this gimmick. This has been just an absolute joy to watch.
I'm hoping distancing herself from the weirdness that is created by Mariah May's presence, she could get back to some stuff I understand with my feeble mind.
If you want to see some real wrestling fucking power, some like the kind of promo that makes no sense and I love it anyway. She did a wrestling for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. She did a wrestling themed rendition of The New Colossus, the poem on the Statue of Liberty. I believe I mentioned it when we covered Forbidden Door. Watch that shit. It's fucking gold. But next match?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take the reins on this one because this is one of the two that I actually gave a shit about, and of course it disappointed me. Chris Jericho has been the For the World champion since he defeated Hook last pay-per-view before, I don't quite remember.
We were mad.
Before. We were a little upset, but he has managed to turn it into this whole learning tree gimmick, which I think is great.
Yeah, we were wrong.
Putting money behind Big Bill and Brian Keith. Basically taking the thing people were accusing him of actually doing, whether that was true or not, and making a parody out of it. And I think he's doing a great job with it. Had a big band entrance with Fozzy.
Every time I think I'm out, Chris Jericho pulls me back in.
Yeah. This was FTW rules against Hook to, logic would dictate, finish the storyline with Hook and Taz that they've been running for the last few months. However, this is Chris Jericho. I don't expect this to be over. I was kind of disappointed that Hook won.
Why? This is his yearly tradition of winning the FTW title back from someone at All In.
I like Hook. Hook is a phenomenal wrestler, and he showcased it in this match.
He's getting better on the mic, too.
He is. Even if he says some weird shit, he says
it with commitment.
Yes, he says it with gusto. He believes what he's saying, even if it's nonsense.
Even if it is him knocking over a door and just yelling the words "Doom Time," he means that shit. And you know what? I can't ask for much more from a wrestler than me thinking that you believe the stuff you're saying.
Yeah,
even if it's goofy.
He's getting there. He's got another star, if you will. But this, again, plunder match, wasn't quite as good as the last few Chris Jericho plunder matches. I'd say even the last half dozen.
That's pretty much all he does at pay-per-views anymore is
Sure.
just big plunder matches, because he's, an elder wrestler now.
And it's fun. He does some really fun stuff with cricket balls, but it just didn't have the same juice. It didn't get the cat excited.
It was missing a third gear.
Yeah, it really was. And I honestly would have rather seen Jericho retain the title and maybe have some shenanigans down the line to actually finish the feud, because I don't believe it's over.
I hope it is over, but even if it isn't, I think Chris Jericho will still manage. The learning tree was such he worked me so completely, and I am now so fully bought in and amused by the learning tree after being so completely mad. I'm off the edge of the map. I'm here for it. Logically, this is over now, right? Chris Jericho moves on. The learning tree moves on to feud with someone else. That it definitely was what should happen. But White's absolutely right. We cannot guarantee that will be the case.
Taz put most of a Taz mission on a man to protect his son.
Fucking
that
A+.
Should be the end of the feud.
A+. I love that. That's a great moment.
It was. I just don't believe it.
Oh, that reminds me of something from the Toni Storm match. People who are on the Discord, and I may have mentioned it hundreds of times on this podcast over the years, there's a spot I hate. And it's a spot that I originally called the Bailey, because Bailey was the first one to do it in such an egregious way that it actually upset me, and then it like poisoned it. It is when a usually good guy wrestler refuses to use like a weapon or some very dangerous technique on their opponent because they are a pussy, I guess. They
don't want to kill him because the move is so deadly it'll kill him.
Yeah, that. And ideally, you're not supposed to commit murder in a wrestling ring. He's dead now. I can say it. I'm talking to you, New Jack. I'm safe.
If the ghost of New Jack comes and haunts this house.
Awesome. Now, Toni Storm versus Mariah May put that spot. That is the basically last spot of the match. Toni can't do the last necessary step. It would have disqualified her, but she would have kept the title. To take the shoe and jam it into Mariah May's forehead in vengeance for what Mariah May did to her. And it is so amazingly earned because Toni loves Mariah May, and that has been consistently and completely honestly portrayed throughout the whole of their collaboration. That it felt right. It felt right that she couldn't do that. She couldn't bring herself to do that. And it was part 1 of 2 of this pay-per-view. Look, I'm never going to like the spot, but it cured the poison for the spot. It was earned in a way that was really powerful, and I loved it.
I would like to suggest that maybe a heel should do that sometime, where they refuse to do a really good, really effective move because it's lame.
Yeah, no, that would... Actually, I would really love that.
Yeah, like MJF keeps using this brain buster. What if he's like, no, I'm not doing it anymore?
It's dumb and lame.
Yeah, or he originally promised with the kangaroo kick.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
But I forgot entirely about that. Sorry to back up, but I wanted to say it.
It's all good. It's my show. We can go as long as we want. It's our show. But I do edit it.
And it's on your YouTube channel. It's your show. I'm a guest.
Well, you're our honored guest. Let's move on to the next match, shall we?
Sure.
All right.
So this is the match that is a rematch from last year, and then they threw in the Acclaimed, because if they just did the Young Bucks FTR again, it might suck.
The FTR was not jet lagged this time.
They got them in a couple days early. They had time to go to the hotel, relax, sleep, and reset, and they did a good job instead of a bad one. This match was... I hesitate to say, like, great, because I don't think that's true. But there wasn't anything wrong with it.
So there are two things at play here, right? Especially for me, I don't know about the rest of the world. Y'all are on some kind of crazy sauce. I don't know. Not a huge fan of FTR anymore. This is mostly because of in-ring stuff, or promo stuff, as it were. Not a huge fan of what the Young Bucks are doing in the ring right now to put over their heel personas. They have turned down their incredible athletics to about 50%. It's still there. It's just not what it was.
I agree. I'm such a huge fan of what they're doing out of the ring that I'm okay with
It's really funny. I can't hate on it because it's really good, but it does make me less excited for their matches. I love Anthony Bowens. Anthony Bowens has got nothing but upside.
Anthony Bowens will be AEW World Champion if there is justice in the world.
I think he's great, and this is a guy who I thought couldn't promo when I first started watching him. He has come into his own 1,000 ways. I love Bowens. Max Caster, for whatever valid reason, just shit the bed since they got the tag titles the first time. He has been steadily decreasing in quality.
I don't know that I agree. I think he's been less reliable since they got the tag titles the first time, but there have been weeks where Max really puts on a show and weeks where he really actually blows up the mic and does a really good job. There are also weeks where Max Caster really shits the bed.
It's such a coin flip, and I don't usually care that much for what he's doing when the coin has flipped up whatever the positive side is. Like, even in spite of it being well put together, it's not doing it for me.
Yeah, you don't like it even if it is technically sound.
There was a time when I liked what Max Caster was doing. But it's not, it was brief. It was a brief window and it was a long fucking time ago. So, like, adding them into this mix, this is the tag team titles. This is a place we could have had the Guns. This is a place we could have had the House of Black or the Kings of the Black Throne or whatever configuration that exists. This is a place we could have had showcasing talent we don't see as much, like MXM or like the Outrunners or like Bear Country. I know that doesn't make any sense, but every team makes sense if you build them.
Putting Bear Country as they are now into this match is absurd, terrible. It's not going to move tickets.
No, but like the Righteous, you could have done something with them, even though I don't like them.
You had so much time to build this show, you could have built somebody up.
Yeah. And instead, we get this again, and I get, like, some people, especially your casual fans, especially the people in the UK who didn't get an AEW show since this time last year, want to see FTR again, want to see the Young Bucks again. They're the big marquee names. It's the same thing as the lapsed wrestling fan from 20 years ago asking, is John Cena still there? So, like, I get it, but I hate it.
There wasn't anything wrong with the match itself. The Young Bucks win. They definitely should have.
Yes,
that was 100% the right call.
The other factor, the thing I was alluding to before, was they did a reset. because things were pretty fun and high energy after the Taz thing and the Hook match. The match started out really slow from all parties involved. Not the same kind of slow, just nothing spectacular, because the fans had to calm down before they were brought back up. You'll see that again in the main event. And that did kind of make it feel less exciting than a typical Young Bucks match. Or an FTR match, for that matter.
And there's a good, important booking reason why you do that, but it is still a thing that happened.
Yes. Speaking of things that happen.
Yeah, speaking the fuck of. So, the next match on the card is the Casino Gauntlet match. The Casino Gauntlet match is great. It's fun. It's an interesting battle royal in that it's not over the top rope, and you barely ever see non over the top rope battle royals anymore at all.
On its one fall to a finish.
One fall to a finish, not even elimination. Just it's a very interesting premise, and they did a great job with it. It was great. There was a lot of great spots. There was a lot of fun surprises. The Ricochet showed up.
Ricochet doing like old school Ricochet stuff also. My God.
Ricochet showed up and he took off the Brock Lee training weights and just got to actually got to actually like do his shit, as opposed to about a 75%, which is what he was the entire time he was in WWE.
Hey, he was their speed champion.
And that's at hit 75%. It was fun to see. It was great. I really wanted Hanger to win this match because I love what Hangman Adam Page is doing right now. I think it's an excellent turn for his character, and which is great because when he first started to go heel, I did not like it. I really like where they've gone with it, and they've really sold it.
Two things. One, don't lie to the people. You really wanted Hanger to win this match until Nigel McGuinness showed up.
Oh God! All right, my brother beside me. He is my favorite hater, but he's not the best hater in the world. Hangman Adam Page has been driven completely mad by Swerve Strickland. He is a righteous tower of vengeance. He will not be denied, and he is not the best hater in the world. The best hater in the world is Nigel fucking McGuinness. He is the #1 haterade king. He hates Bryan Danielson like religious people hate the devil. It is absurd. I love Nigel McGuinness, and seeing him show up and clearly, just in case Bryan Danielson won, he couldn't be allowed to be champion. I will stop it myself. Seeing him walk out like Thanos strapping on the gauntlet, and then be really fucking good still.
Yeah, he hasn't lost much of a step for everything that's gone down. It was very impressive.
It was joyous and wonderful. And he could have won the match, and that would have been good. Would have definitely told you what the end of the main event was going to be, but that's okay. Hanger could have won the match, and that would have been really good. Would have definitely told you what the end of the main event was going to be, but that would be okay. There were so many people who could have won this match. Ricochet would have been an amazing call. New guy comes right in, gets an immediate title shot, #1 with a bullet, really sells him as a top talent, a top acquisition. Zack Sabre Jr. is always a safe bet for a title match. Orange Cassidy, there were so many options. Why the fuck did you choose Christian Cage? I love Christian Cage. I love his current gimmick. The Patriarchy is an excellent heel gimmick. He does excellent work with it. This was so much the wrong fucking call that it makes me actually mad.
Yeah. I had a thing too, and I forgot what that was.
The Luchasaurus thing, probably.
No, it was something else. I do need to backtrack a little bit. Some indie crap tag team that sucks showed up after the tag trios match. It was, I don't know, whatever. They're dumb, and they're here now, and...
It was the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah.
They're a cornerstone of one of my Jow saves, so they get extra points. I like them, but only because of that. I've never seen any of that.
They said dumb words at the same time, and we don't need any more Will's Ospreay, and yet here we are. So, fuck them.
That he's my favorite hater.
Also, Orange Cassidy fell out of the sky at the beginning of this match. What? I don't dislike that. I just don't know why.
He fell out of the sky into a spotlight in all black, and no one knows why. And we're all going to move along about it.
Yeah. Jeff Jarrett could have won this match.
Jeff Jarrett could have won this match.
Over Hanger. That would have been really cool.
Oh, he would have.
And then that would have been a good,
Hanger's hair would have actually set itself on fire.
Yeah, that would have been pretty fun.
But there's so many. Almost every person in this match is a better call than Christian Cage. I genuinely don't know who would be a worse call in this match than Christian Cage.
There isn't anybody. Literally, even Luchasaurus.
Oh, God.
Would have been a better call.
Luchasaurus finally doing the Virgil turn on Christian Cage and getting a title match out of the deal. Like he was always just biding his time. Fucking perfect. A+. But no, it's another title shot for Christian Cage. Again, a guy I like who's doing a thing I like, I'm still mad it's the wrong call. Even if you do something I like, if it's stupid booking, it'll still upset me. Now, to talk about the best thing that ever happened.
I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I thought this was a pretty fun match. I thought it was technically extremely well built. I thought both players played their part to the fullest. It wasn't the most exciting match I've seen from either man, but it was solid. That said, I didn't care. Now for contrast.
So, the next match on the card is MJF versus Will Ospreay. MJF is probably my favorite currently working wrestler. He is a generational talent. He's a fucking genius. He basically never misses. He's doing an absurd gimmick that I love. Bad guy, American patriot, excellent work. It's beautiful. He is the worst of my country's possibilities, and it is excellent. He's up against Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, I tell this story a fair amount where I used to actually not like Kenny Omega before I'd ever seen him wrestle because of sheer hype backlash. Hearing so many people say he's the best wrestler in the universe and then just being tired of hearing it. Will Ospreay has a similar story in that I heard so many indie wrestlers talk about how great Will Ospreay is that it started to annoy me. Not as much as Kenny, but to a fair amount. But they were also just right the whole time, and I was just wrong. Will Ospreay's current gimmick is like if you build a wrestler in a lab designed to appeal specifically to me as a person. It's like Tony Khan has been stalking me and specifically designed a wrestler to be the best babyface wrestler ever for me specifically as a person. This is excellent. This is my favorite heel versus my favorite face in a build that they did really well, and no misses, no flubs in the build, nothing I'm concerned about in a wonderful match that I am expecting to be very enjoyed and to be very sports entertained by. And then Ezio de Auditore de Firenze showed up and commanded Will Ospreay to win. And I went through the roof. I'm not really into the Assassin's Creed series anymore, but back in the day I really, really was. And so is Will Ospreay really, really a lot. You might say it's our special interest. Anyway, and he has been doing the spot I hate for, this entire pay-per-view cycle. He has a big, dangerous move that he doesn't want to do because it's too dangerous and it might hurt somebody, even though his job is hurting people. And this is the other half of the thing that healed that wound. I'm never going to be a huge fan of the spot, but this match finished the cure because they turned that, instead of being a stupid thing that happened, they turned it into excellent storytelling. Ezio de Auditore de Firenze commanded Will Ospreay to Tiger Driver MJF into the fucking Shadow Realm. And then he did. I can't coherently talk about this match. This was too good. This was 5 stars with a bullet. the main event, MJF in the main event of last year's All In was everything perfect about wrestling. This is, in a very different way, also everything perfect about pro wrestling. I can't be objective. I'm sure that there were parts of this match you could criticize. I don't know what the fuck they are. I'm sure that there were parts of this build you could criticize. I don't know what the fuck they are anymore. They've been blown out of my head. This ruled. This was just a gift-wrapped present for me. And I will take it. And I have no fucking notes. A+, 5 stars. Perfect.
And I am back with my coffee, and it appears as though he's done. So you want to move on to the... God, that felt every bit of the 17 minutes, 25 seconds it was match.
Yeah, sure.
Britt Baker challenging for Mercedes Money's title in a build that has been really subpar work by two talented women. I have liked Mercedes Moné less and less every time I see her since she's come back. She's still really good in the ring. No real argument with her in-ring work, but the promos, I hate them. And I see what she's doing outside of the ring. She's doing some really good heel work. She's getting herself over in a very oblivious, one might say, Jerichoian fashion. Kudos. I still hate it. I hate it when you talk. I hate that you are this piece of shit who does a cute little dancey dance. I hate it.
It's very effective heel work. Like, it is, you are genuinely detestable. Excellent work. I detest you now.
The problem is, and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, I as a viewer don't go, I hate that person, and now I want to see someone punch them in the face. I go, I hate that person, so I will go watch a different show.
That's a problem. It's hard. It's hard to be the kind of heel who is not cool, who is still hateable, and you want to see them lose, when it is so much easier to be the kind of heel you just don't want to see.
Well, and I think I'm the outlier here. I think this is a me thing. I think most people would really roll with this
At least
punch.
the two of us.
That's fair enough.
I don't like Mercedes' current gift. I hate that music. Like
they did change it, though. It's less bad.
Yeah, but, like, I hate it. Like, that is absurdly good heel work now that she is just fully a heel. That level of, being astroturfed that hard, like, actually fundamentally pissed me off. Great work. A+. I don't want to watch you.
I have nothing against Britt Baker. I like her giant Jinko pants, and she went through a lot when she was gone, and that's really, really rough. I fully support her boyfriend, and if he's into it, I'm into it. But she's not got much zazz.
I want good things for Britt Baker DMD. I want good things for her. She's a 2-star on the mic, and that's what it is. Like, that's just...
I'd say and in the ring, too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I was just speaking promos. She's just, like, she can do a good promo, but it's just not reliable. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't.
Yeah.
Them's your chances.
This match was really slow. People were literally visibly leaving in droves to go use the restroom.
That's what this match was, and both of these ladies knew it.
It wasn't a really well-built feud.
You could see it in their faces that they knew they were the piss break match.
This was something that on paper was great, but it just didn't show up in execution. I don't know that they have much in-ring chemistry. They chose a really bad glove for the glove battle spot because it was one that was hard to get on.
I don't really... I will say Britt Baker's glove could be a cool thing. It's got to be a cooler glove. Just generally, her gloves are never cool enough.
She usually does one that's got like a Velcro strap on the back, so it's easy to get on and off, but this is a tight, sleevey guy.
I mean, look, it should be like a metal gauntlet-looking thing. Like, you could fold those up pretty tight. She could keep it under the ring, roll out to get it, whatever. It should be cool-looking. It shouldn't look like a bedazzled, driving glove, or in this case, a bedazzled dress glove.
I don't think the glove is meant to be like a weapon.
Well, it is in that it's like supposed to be. Is it supposed to protect her hand while she does the move?
Basically, yeah. And it's a call to action. It's an icon thing.
It's
a
Mr.
Get
Psycho.
It's Mr. Psycho. Psycho, yeah, for sure. Mr. fucking Psycho. Go watch Borderlands. Don't. It's Mr. Psycho. It's just to protect the hand from your spit and biting and whatnot. It doesn't help anything except for like health and safety. And it's a good visual indicator that I'm about to do my big finish. In that sense, it's doing its job, but, like, use a better prop. What the fuck are you doing?
Look, the gimmick ain't working, brother. You gotta get a better gimmick. And, of course, we're wrong. We're fully wrong. It moves merch. Them gloves sell. That's what it's for.
That also, yeah.
But, like, I'm not speaking as, entirely soulless corporate suit man. I'm speaking as someone who likes good things. This gimmick ain't working, Chief. You gotta revamp it.
Just don't use the shitty glove, especially if there's going to be a glove fight spot. If she can reliably get the glove on really fast, no matter what shape it's in, fine. But if you're going to have people fight over it, and you're going to have Mercedes awkwardly with one of the things I hate about Mercedes is that none of her outfits look like they fit her. They look like little girl dress-up outfits. Unless she's in her ring gear. Ring gear's fine.
She does intentionally dress like a small child who has raided her mother's closet.
Yeah, who's putting on a fashion show. It looks ridiculous. And the glove did the same thing. It's got the little flappy fingers at the end when she was putting it on. Maybe that was intentional. I don't know. But it slowed down the pace of the match that already was not fast. It felt awkward. I wanted to look away and give them time to get it together. It didn't do it for me.
It felt like when you're watching a play and part of the scenery comes off. And like now the actors have to like deal with that, and you're in like the secondhand embarrassment zone. That's not good.
See, I will have to disagree slightly. I'm putting a hat on a hat here. That happened earlier in the ladder match when that one piece of table would not come out of the ring. And that one referee was in a fucking battle to get it out of there.
God, no, but that was just funny.
It was, and it drew my eye. That's fine. That's the scenery. The actors are still acting. You can still watch the action. This is when one of the actors' fake nose half comes off and is flopping around while they're giving their
No, that's much
monologue.
better. That's much better. That's much more one-to-one.
Yeah.
And, like, we all know it's happening and no one can acknowledge it.
Yup.
Oh, yeah, no, that sucked. The match was otherwise meh. Well wrestled, but like nothing to write home about. Probably my least favorite match on the card. Obviously designed to be a lower energy spot on the card. Mercedes wins. She was always gonna.
I think that was the right call. You know.
Yeah, like so soon. No, I mean, like even if I don't like her, I don't want her to get. I want her to be booked strong.
I want the
her
stories of wrestling to be coherent.
Yeah, even if I'm not a fan of Mercedes Moné, she shouldn't lose yet. That's just bad booking.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like you. Yeah. Bad booking is still the right call. Wrong call. Excuse me. You know what I mean.
I'm going to introduce now my other favorite match on the card, both of which were under 11 minutes, the shortest matches on the card. Darby Allin in a coffin match for the TNT Championship against the scapegoat, Jack Perry. These guys are probably in closest contention for filling the penta-shaped hole, although neither of them are the right size.
Maybe if you stack them on top of each other.
You squish them together, make some sort of Mecha Shiva, sure. I love Jack since returning. He's been doing some of the best smug, snide work I've seen that isn't immediately to the right of me. He has a cool goat hat. He's ruthless. He's a monster, like emotionally speaking.
It's not his fault that he's not as good as me. I've been doing it a lot longer.
Yes. And Darby Allin is someone I would have, as CM Punk put it, a teenage me would have really been into. And in that sense, I still really like him. And of course, his association with Sting kept me in his circle for a little longer. And they had a really great garbage match.
This was fire. This was excellent. Jack Perry, Japan and fighting CM Punk.
Getting fought by CM Punk.
produced an alchemical reaction inside Jack Perry that turned him from a very bad heel, I remember that, into just the fucking best.
He's great.
My scapegoat. He is amazing. He's vicious and ruthless and smug and cowardly, but not about the things that other wrestlers are cowardly about. And it's just excellent. And he's not afraid to be cool.
Yeah.
So many heels are afraid to be cool because you don't want to do the other thing where you're too cool and you start getting cheers. He's cool and still gets boos because he's just the worst motherfucker.
Yeah. Even when they're cheering for him for bringing out the real glass, they will immediately start booing him for just being a shithead.
Yes. Perfect.
This was a great coffin match. If you want to check out the promo where he built the new TNT Championship, which legitimately looks like a belt from one of my E-Feds.
Also, when we say built, we mean that shit. He cast that out of liquid metal. He built the new TNT Championship, which is so fucking cool.
Also, Darby Allin came out with thumbtacks glued to his face to stab Jack Perry with. That's amazing. That's great.
These guys were teleported from an alternate dimension, and
that I created 15 years ago.
And I love it there. And I'm happy that two refugees from that dimension are in ours now.
I wish we'd gotten about 2 minutes more out of it.
Yeah, but like the post-match stuff really was those last 2 minutes.
And I did like that. Against all odds, undefeated Darby Allin becomes defeated in coffin matches. Jack Perry zipped him up in a body bag.
Yeah, now Jack Perry is undefeated in coffin matches.
Then the Young Bucks came out and were going to help Jack Perry set him on fire. When who should arrive but Sting?
He's retired, but retired wrestlers can still swing baseball bats, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it was just nice to see him. There's literally nothing more.
It was clearly just like a, hey, it's Wembley, you know.
Sure, but it was nice for my investment.
Yeah.
It's my good buddy Sting. Sting is the hero I should have had when I was younger, and I feel a fool for not having the opportunity to buy into him sooner. And that's how I feel about that.
It's great. It was a great match. I loved it.
I tip back to you, my friend.
So we're on to the main event. Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Champion, versus Bryan Danielson's career. This build has been pretty good. Not perfect. There have been some stumbles, mostly on one side of that particular...
Danielson has been carrying this.
Danielson is... I have such a long and storied history with Bryan Danielson. I didn't like him for years because he got so fucking over that he poisoned the possibility of anyone else getting over in the wrestling fed I was in for a solid 7 years. After he got really over, no one else was allowed to be over. Anyone else who got too popular, they turned on you because you weren't Bryan Danielson. You weren't Daniel Bryan. And that really made me bitter towards him. He showed up at AEW, and I was willing to let bygones be bygones, and he's done lots of good work since then.
He has done enough good work that you, my friend, and I feel this bears mentioning, because this is a pay-per-view custom crafted for you, have been barracking for over a year for Danielson to hold a title belt in AEW.
I always felt he should be AEW champion at some point for the benefit of the AEW title. Bryan Danielson doesn't need the AEW title. Bryan Danielson is a living legend. Bryan Danielson is the American Dragon. He doesn't need the AEW title. The AEW title could use him. Him having it makes it more legitimate because it's being held by people of his caliber. I have been saying this for, you're right, probably a year plus. And he's finally got an AEW title opportunity that feels real. And they did such an excellent job of making me not be able to tell until the start of the show, all the way in the build, I couldn't actually tell who was winning the match. Because Danielson had done a really believable job of selling that he did kind of want to retire. And, I mean, like, it's wrestling. I'll never wrestle again. Never actually means that.
And he very carefully was like, my full-time in-ring career will come to a close.
Up until, like, the very end of the build.
Well, and when you gotta put the fucking stank on it.
Yeah, exactly. And Swerve Strickland has been a very solid champion, and they've really invested in him, and he's been strong. He was crowned, anointed. His title win was a victory. And he's had it for a good, solid, healthy chunk now. And this could have been just another feather in his cap, another way to cement him as the top guy. And then Danielson did say, if you win, I'll never wrestle again. And that, until that point, I figured Swerve was going to win. But then he said that, and they'd done it well enough that it didn't do what that normally means, which is, oh, that means Danielson's winning. It meant, oh no, either of them could win now.
I didn't feel confident until the Battle Royal.
Which is what tipped it for me as well. The winner of the Battle Royal kind of told you who was going to win the main event, because they weren't going to have Swerve fight Christian Cage again.
Well, and also because Hangman didn't win, and I have it on good authority that Hangman and Swerve are going to be doing something soon.
I didn't know anything about that.
Because I didn't tell you.
Hangman didn't win, so Swerve wasn't winning. But also, Nigel didn't win, so Danielson's not winning. But they picked Christian Cage, again, the worst possible option, because basically everyone else in that match, Swerve hadn't fought. So it would still leave things up in the air. You picked literally the worst option because you tipped your hand, and it was very clear Danielson was going to win. But that's okay, because up until that match, you had completely obfuscated from me who was actually winning this match. And that's good. That's good booking. That's what I want. I don't like being able to predict this stuff. But Swerve had some stumbles along the way. He always kind of does. As I understand it, this shit completely works for other people, and I'm happy for them. I don't like Swerve's face gimmick. I don't like his fucking jongleur laugh. I think it makes him look like a tool.
I like his jongleur laugh if he's a heel. It's starting to get like... this is why I don't like to make fun of people I actually hate, because it will endear me to them if I give them fake little characteristics that amuse me. And we've done that enough that I kind of like the jongleur laugh now.
No, now that Swerve has dipped his French fry in his ice cream enough, it's kind of getting over with you.
Well, and if he's allowed to be a jackass, the little jongleur laugh makes sense. It's the same thing as MJF freaking out about, you took all the popularity and spotlight off of me, Will Ospreay. He is allowed to have that deep and sad flaw if you're supposed to boo him.
Yeah, Swerve's little jongleur laugh never comes across as genuine. He never comes across as a guy who is genuinely unhinged and he loves this shit. He's sick in the head. It comes across performative. It comes across like he thinks this makes him look really cool. And when he's a face and you're supposed to think he's really cool, it makes him look like a fucking tool bag. When he's a heel, this is this asshole trying to make himself look cool. That makes it work. That makes it sing. That's good. Swerve Strickland is one of the clearer cases I've ever seen of somebody having the jow trait natural heel. Because in this match, he was just a fucking heel. He was such a heel, he killed the Who's House chant about halfway through the match. He was being such a bastard, he got a boo instead of the response to the thing that got him over in the first place. When Swerve Strickland is allowed to just be a son of a bitch, no fucking nuance, he's just the worst person alive, beautiful. It sings. It's what he's built to do. Do that.
I don't... With some exception, there's a difference between a crowd chanting for somebody because they want them to be a face and a crowd chanting for somebody because they're cool. You have to notice the distinction and you have to respect it. Don't try to turn them face just because people are singing along with the song.
Prince Nana having a cool dance doesn't mean Swerve Strickland should be a babyface. It means you should sell Nana hats, and he should continue to be a heel. This is not complex.
Do you have anything else to say about this main event match? I think I do, but you know what? You go first.
The match itself is amazing. It is 10 years on from WrestleMania, and they released the sequel.
For me, this felt very much like an echo of Kofi Mania, but in reverse. Kofi Mania was the thing that brought me back into really caring about wrestling. We weren't watching, and I was like, hey, they're kind of doing the... You can go back and listen to the podcast. I'm sure we talked about it. They're doing the thing. It seems like Kofi Kingston might actually beat Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
That was such a great moment in my life.
And the longer this has gone on, partially because I thought it was going to be funny, partially because I really wanted Swerve's babyface adjacent reign to end, and I didn't want Swerve v Hanger 92 to be about the title, because that adds extra layers of predictability into it I don't like. I kind of wanted Bryan to win. I'm not a huge fan of his. He's great. Technically sound, great promo, icon of the industry, not my favorite guy. You know, nothing against him. But it's not like I was bought into their story so much as I thought it might happen again. I thought we might see...
They're actually gonna do the thing.
They're gonna... And it wasn't as strong because it wasn't working against as much nonsense, but...
Yeah, because ultimately, Bryan Danielson winning the AEW title, understandable. Kofi Kingston, WWE Champion, fucking ridiculous. 4 months before it happened, no one would have ever guessed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about that. Then it finally got to the start of the match, and he said one fall, and the British crowd said one fall back. I've been waiting for so long for that. I popped out of my seat. I marked out like crazy. No, that part's a joke. Well, it's not, but I wasn't anticipating it. I just mark for that. I mark for one fall echo. This was great, and I think... To contrast, this was the other main marquee match that I didn't really care about. But over the course of the match itself, not the promos, not the lead-in, not the build-up, the match made me give a shit about who was winning. Unlike MJF Ospreay, which was still technically very good, this is the difference between someone the caliber of Bryan Danielson, someone like Swerve Strickland, and the very simple, although very well done, story that MJF and Ospreay were telling. They made me give a shit. They did so many good false finishes, and that's also critical because you can get really annoying with those dumb things. It was just... A lot of factors came together and they pulled it off with aplomb. It's like rolling dice, not knowing what you're going to get, and landing that critical hit that defeats the final boss and ends the campaign.
It was alchemy in the moment. It was the ring psychology for you. It was them, the story they told within the bounds of the two bells.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's a moment in the match where Danielson is actively currently having his ass beaten, and he doesn't even give a shit about it. He's outside his own body. He is staring at his beautiful family that he loves and shouting to them about how much he loves them, whilst the man is actively beating the shit out of him.
I forgot to mute Discord. That was me. I'm so sorry.
And, it's that moment. That's good. That's good wrestling. I didn't like it as much as the thing that was made for me in a fucking lab, but I still think it was really good.
Do you have anything else to say about this pay-per-view? Because I think I have something that will make you feel a little bit better.
Let's hear it.
Okay. 10 years ago, Bryan Danielson's father died.
Yeah!